It's late at night. Your room is quiet. Lights are off. Your phone is glowing just a few inches from your face. You open your banking app. Not because you need to buy anything, not because a bill is due, just out of habit. You scroll down to your savings account, and there it is, $20,000. For the first time in your life, your balance starts with a 2, followed by 4 zeros. You stare at it a little longer than usual. Something feels different. You feel a little calmer, a little safer. Your brain starts doing what brains do best, imagining possibilities. Maybe you could finally take a real vacation. Maybe it's time to upgrade your apartment. Maybe you could even get a newer car. For the first time in years, you're not thinking about survival. You're thinking about living. But here's the strange part nobody warns you about. The moment you look financially stable is the exact moment the world around you starts trying much harder to separate you from your money. Saving your first $20,000 is a massive achievement, not because it's enough to retire, not because it solves every financial problem, but because of what it represents. For most people, the journey to that number is long and messy. You start with a few $100s, then maybe you reach $1,000, then $3,000. Every step feels slow. Sometimes it feels like you're barely moving forward. Unexpected expenses pop up constantly: car repairs, medical bills, rent increases, and every time something happens, it feels like your savings get dragged backwards again. But eventually, through discipline, side jobs, cutting expenses, or just time, you hit 5 figures. That moment feels powerful, because suddenly you're no longer living one small emergency away from disaster. Psychologically, something changes. Your brain shifts from panic mode to stability mode, and that feeling is incredibly motivating. But there's a problem. Many people see $20,000 as the finish line, when in reality, it's just level 1 of the game. Here's what happens to a lot of people after they reach that milestone. They relax, not in a reckless way, just a little. You stop worrying about every tiny purchase. You allow yourself a few upgrades, and honestly, that's normal. After years of discipline, it feels reasonable to enjoy some progress. But life doesn't stop throwing surprises at you. Your car breaks down, your phone dies, a friend invites you on a trip you've been postponing forever, and suddenly your savings drop from $20,000 to $14,000. Then a few months later, maybe you're back up to $18,000. Then something else happens, and suddenly you're back down to $8,000. Over time, your finances start moving in a frustrating pattern: up to $20K, back down to $7K, climb again, drop again. For many people, this cycle repeats for years, not because they're irresponsible, but because they never created rules for protecting the first milestone they achieved. There's another subtle shift that happens when your finances improve. You become a more valuable customer. Banks notice, credit card companies notice, financial apps notice. Your email inbox starts filling with offers, premium credit cards with rewards, higher credit limits, personal loans with special rates. Investment platforms start showing you advanced tools and strategies. Ads begin targeting you with nicer apartments, travel deals, and new cars. The messaging is always the same: you've worked hard, you deserve this. And again, that message isn't entirely wrong, but here's the hidden catch. Most financial traps don't look like traps. They look like rewards for success. A car with a $600 monthly payment, a nicer apartment that adds a few $100s to your rent, 3 or 4 new subscriptions that seem harmless. Individually, none of these decisions look dangerous, but together they quietly raise your fixed monthly costs. And once your fixed costs rise high enough, your ability to save disappears again. But here's the part people often misunderstand about saving money. The first $20,000 is the hardest, not because of math, because of momentum. When your balance is small, almost all of your progress comes from your deposits, not growth. If you invest $2,000 and the market grows by 10%, that's $200. Nice, but not life-changing. But if you invest $20,000 and the same growth happens, that's $2,000. Now the progress starts becoming visible. And if you continue contributing regularly, your investments start accelerating. Your money slowly begins working alongside you, not just sitting there. This is when compounding finally starts to feel real. But there's one major requirement. You have to leave the money long enough for it to grow. Constantly dipping into savings resets the process over and over again. It's like planting a tree and digging it up every year to check if the roots are growing. Once people hit their first serious savings milestone, a few common mistakes tend to appear. The first is lifestyle inflation. Your income increases, so your expenses quietly increase with it. The second mistake is overconfidence. You start thinking you're suddenly great with money, so you take bigger risks. Maybe you start chasing hot investments. Maybe you try trading instead of investing, or you take on debt because you believe you can handle it. The third mistake is simply losing the habits that built the savings in the first place. You stop tracking expenses. You stop budgeting. You stop thinking carefully about purchases. The discipline that built the foundation slowly fades, and without realizing it, your finances drift back towards the same fragile position they were in before. One simple way to avoid this problem is to think of your money in 3 layers. The first layer is your floor. This is the amount of money you never drop below unless there is a genuine emergency. For most people, this means 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. This layer protects you from chaos. The second layer is your growth layer. This money is invested for the long term: retirement accounts, index funds, assets that grow slowly and steadily over time. This layer builds your future freedom. The third layer is your fun layer. This is where lifestyle upgrades and experiences come from: trips, new hobbies, career changes, things that make life more enjoyable. The rule is simple: enjoy your money, just don't destroy the floor that protects you. Reaching $20,000 in savings won't solve every financial problem in your life, but it changes something incredibly important. It gives you breathing room. Before that point, money is about survival. After that point, money can start becoming about options. Options like leaving a toxic job, moving to a new city, taking time off to rethink your career, starting something new. But those options only exist if you protect the foundation you've built. So when you finally reach that first big number, don't treat it like the end of the journey. Treat it like the ground your future freedom stands on. Because the real power of money isn't the things it buys today, it's the choices it gives you tomorrow.